What's going on, Words Way? I am Rae'Lyn Richmond. I am bringing you the Word Wednesday for today. We are still in our series, God Be Like. So let's get into it. Today's title is God Be Like, what's your next move? So I'm gonna go into it with scripture so y'all know where I'm coming from. Proverbs 3:5-6. This is the NLT version. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you which path to take. So this is my point one. Make your next move your best move. So let's take a look at what happens when you lean on your own understanding. 1 Samuel 15:3. Let's talk about King Saul. So it says, now go and completely destroy the entire Amalekite nation. Men, women, children, babies, cattle, sheep, goats, camels, and donkeys. So mind you, God told Saul to destroy the whole Amalekite nation, like the whole nation. Don't leave not one person, not one animal, nothing. Like destroy the whole nation. Okay, so our next scripture, 1 Samuel 15:7-9. Okay, it reads, then Saul slaughtered the Amalekites from Havilah. I'm not good at all these names, y'all. All the way to Shur, east of Egypt. He captured Agag, the Amalekite king, but completely destroyed everyone else. Saul and his men spared Agag's life and kept the best of the sheep and goats, the cattle, the fat calves, and the lambs. Everything, in fact, that appealed to them. They destroyed only what was worthless or poor quality. Leaning on your own understanding. Now, God told Saul to kill everything, to destroy everything for a reason. So this is what happens when you lean on your own understanding and you don't seek out the will of God. Saul took it upon himself to save the cattle and all the animals and Agag. God didn't tell him to do that. And that brings me to my second point. My will, my way. The consequences and repercussions for my own will. 1 Samuel 15:10-23. Then the Lord said to Samuel, I am sorry that I have made Saul king, for he has not been loyal to me and he has refused to obey my command. Y'all, this is a long little passage I'm finna read, so please bear with me. Samuel was so deeply moved when he heard this that he cried out to the Lord all night. Early the next morning, Samuel went to find Saul. Someone told him Saul went to the town of Carmel to set up a monument to himself. Then he went to Gilgal. Then Samuel finally found him. Saul greeted him cheerfully. May the Lord bless you, he said. I have carried out the Lord's command. Then, what is all the bleating of sheep and goats and the lowing of cattle I hear? Samuel demanded. It's true that the army spared the best of the sheep, goats, and cattle, Saul admitted, but they are going to sacrifice them to the Lord your God. We have destroyed everything else. Then Samuel said to Saul, stop. Listen to what the Lord told me last night. What did he tell you? Saul asked. And Samuel told him, although you may think little of yourself, are you not the leader of the tribes of Israel? The Lord has anointed you king of Israel, and the Lord sent you on a mission and told you to go and completely destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, until they are all dead. Why haven't you obeyed the Lord? Why did you rush for the plunder and do what was evil in the Lord's sight? But I did obey the Lord, Saul insisted. I carried out the mission he gave me. I brought back King Agag, but I destroyed everyone else. Then my troops brought in the best of the sheep, goats, cattle, and plunder to sacrifice to the Lord, your God, in Gilgal. But Samuel replied, what is more pleasing to the Lord, your burnt offerings and sacrifices, or your obedience to his voice? Ooh. Listen, obedience is better than sacrifice, and submission is better than offering the fat of rams. Rebellion is as sinful as witchcraft, and stubbornness as bad as worshiping idols. So because you have rejected the command of the Lord, he has rejected you as king. That's deep. And what really got me in that part of the chapter, I just felt like Saul really thought in his mind that he was doing what God told him to do. And most of us think that we are doing what God told us to do. We feel like we're seeking the will of God, but we're actually seeking ourselves. Our own mind starts to take over, and we're actually seeking our will. So my will, my way type of thing. Like, we think that we're actually doing good. God told Saul to destroy everything, but he kept Agag and he kept the cattle. And we honestly feel like, because, like, for example, Saul felt like he was going to offer all this as a sacrifice to the Lord when God didn't want all this. He didn't ask for all this. So sometimes we can feel like we're doing things to please the Lord, but we're really only doing it through ourselves and what we feel. And this brings me to my final point. So this point is called God's will, God's way. So this is what happens when you do what God tells you to do. This is what happens when you seek out the will of God. So let's talk about Gideon. In Judges chapter 7 through 8. I'm not going to actually read the scriptures, but I'm going to give you an overview of what happens when you actually seek out the will of God and what God does for you when he sees that you're obedient. So basically what happens in Gideon in Judges 7 through 8, Gideon starts off with 32,000 warriors. He's going to defeat, like, he's going to fight the Midianites, right? So God tells him, he like, nah, like, this is, I don't want them to think, you know, this was all them. I don't want them to get too in their head. So I want you to get rid of some people. So he like, whoever is timid, like, y'all gotta go. So that was 22,000 of the soldiers. They left like pretty quickly. So then it's 10,000 more. It's 10,000 left. So God is like, nah, it's still too many. Like, go do this for me. So you need to get rid of some. Y'all. Gideon left with 300 warriors to defeat this, who knows how many, to defeat all these people. So Gideon didn't say nothing. He was like, all right, whatever, you know, I'm gonna do what the Lord tells me to do. So then God tells him, look, you're gonna defeat the Midianites. Like, it doesn't matter. And I love the fact that Gideon still continued to listen to the Lord. He continued to do what God says, even though he took away, he literally had like less than 1% of his army left. And he still did what God said. He did not question God. He didn't. And what's funny is God basically tells him like, hey, like, you're going to defeat, you know, the Midianites. But if you're a little bit scared, if you're a little bit timid, go down there and take, I think, Pura or something like that, or whatever the name was, I think. And he was like, y'all can go down there, listen to the conversation that one of the people down there are having, and I'll show you, you know, just listen to the conversation, and then you gonna go back and fight them. So they go down there and they listen to the conversation, and basically one of the Midianites is saying like, hey, like, I had a dream last night, and about being defeated by the Israelites. So Gideon goes back and he's like, all right, it's time, y'all, it's time. So they go down there, and to sum up the whole story, basically they go down there and the army does what Gideon tells them to do, and the Midianites start fighting each other, y'all. They start fighting each other, literally. And God gives the Israelites the victory. He gives Gideon the victory. And that's what's amazing to me. When you do it God's will, God's way, he will give you the victory. You don't have to worry about the outcome. You don't have to worry about doing anything yourself. All you need is God, and he gonna give you the victory every single time. So I just come to you today just letting you know that, look, what's your next move? I feel like God is always saying, like, what's your next move? Because you always have a choice. You have a choice to either do your will or seek out the will of God. And either way, like, look, God is not going to force you to do anything. He wants you to do it willingly. So if you want to seek out his will, oh, cool. But if you want to do your will, it's going to be some consequences and repercussions. Like, that's just how it is. But I just want to let you guys know that God is here. God is faithful. God is everywhere. He loves you, and he will give you the victory. Just keep seeking out his will. Love you guys. Bye.